Hey there, how you doing? We are now back for the real part and the good part, and this is a part of the good new ministry of health. And I really am excited about this because this is a long time in coming, and this is a monumental time because this oil came into my life. And this oil of gladness, I'll call it, came into my life. And with me struggling with lung cancer and brain cancer and having people pray for me and having to take all kinds of meds, I had to make a decision also to go with medical food products. And in me going with these medical food products, I've been able to get great results and be able to have my cognitive function return. We're not talking about marijuana, we're talking about oil, we're talking about hemp oil, we're talking about what the Farm Act bill allowed legal last year in 2018, where they allowed hemp to be legal. And because of that, people like me are now able to receive pure oil, terpenes, and it is the terpenes, and I'll explain it on one of the shows. It's the terpenes that actually breaks the blood-brain barrier, and it's the cannabinoids that actually go into your system. And so cannabinoids, we're not talking about cannabis. Cannabinoids. Cannabis comes from, but you got to look at cannabinoids. And so cannabinoids, you have hemp, and then you have marijuana, which has THC. Hemp also has oil. They both have resin. The THC has a I can't remember what it is right now, but it actually makes you high. And so they used to put it in some of the medication for some of the children who were suffering with epilepsy and these different things, but they found out that hemp, pure hemp, was the thing that was helping children with epilepsy, helping people with PTSD, helping people with insomnia. And so when you see me talking about this thing has returned my cognitive function, I can now remember things. I can now recall things. And so what we're getting ready to talk about was that we're going to talk about how a cannabinoid, when you take a cannabinoid, what it does to your body, what it does for inflammation, that I'm able on this leg, I have to put it on this foot. And when I put it on this foot, it takes away my inflammation. I put it on my face because it keeps my face moisturized. And so this thing, when I talk about it, it has changed my life and brought my life back and brought pep back to my step. And I've been allowed to be able to give it away. And that's what we're doing. And so now I'm so happy, and I gave you that long speech because I was scared to death to even talk about this. And I told my wife, you remember me telling him, I told my wife, I don't want to talk about this. And God said, you're going to have to tell it. I said, I don't want to tell people this because I don't want to be misunderstood. And then my wife said, Deron, I don't care what happens. You're going to have to tell this story. I said, all right, I'll tell it. And then I told my moms, and she said, tell it. And I said, okay. And I said,
she was a little skeptical at first.
She was skeptical because she said, that's why I made the announcement. She said, I don't know if you should have been talking about that hemp and that weed on December the 18th when they did your thing. It was just a little inappropriate. I said, Ma, I'm talking about hemp. She says, yeah, but I don't know. But let me jump to the good part. I gave her the hemp oil because my sister called me up and told me that Ma can barely do some things. And she called me up and she says, the cannabis heals. The cannabis heals. I said, no, Ma, it's cannabinoid. It's cannabinoids. And I said, so Ma, can I go ahead and do this? She said, do it. And then she gave me what the name should, because I gave her my name, and she said, maybe you should do this. And I said, I'll go ahead and do that. So y'all, Lord willing, y'all get ready to see a production like you've never seen before, because I wrote the antithesis to all this crazy stuff going on to expose the curing or the healing prospect of oil. And so my mommy is on the stage, and she is here. And this is the first time we've ever done an interview. Please welcome Carol Cloud to the stage, my mother.
AKA Cookie.
AKA Cookie. And she is my prayer warrior. She's been my cover. And let's just go and talk about it and what has been your experience. And if you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, let's go for it, Ma.
Well, when my son first told me about it, yes, I was a little skeptical. And then he told me what he was calling it. And I said, wait a minute, who you getting ready to tell about this? What group of people? And I said, now, you got to be careful. You know, if you're talking to the religious crowd, that's one thing. You're talking to the church people, that's another thing. I said, so what are you going to call this? And then he explained to me cannabinoid. And I said, okay. Yes, my daughter did contact him at a time when I was having serious problems with my back. My lower back was aching, where I was difficult making steps, and difficult sitting down, and then difficulty standing up. And so she talked to Deron, and so when I called Deron, I was telling him about it. He said, Ma, I want you to try this. And I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. He said, I'm positive. I said, all right. So he sent it to me. And I began to use it. I began to use it as he had instructed me, and I began to rub with it, and I did that for maybe a week. By the second week, I was not having the pain like that anymore. It was starting to ease up, and so I was saying to myself, wait a minute now. This looks like it's gonna work. But you know the interesting thing?
What's that?
Deron, about 6 months before all of that happened, I had sort of asked God a question. I said, God, you've given the medical profession all this wisdom. Can't you give the medical profession wisdom on how to cure pain, arthritic pain? I said, because there's a whole lot of baby boomers out here. And,
Right.
I mean, a whole lot of us. And we're all going through it. So I said, now, Lord, what can the medical profession provide us? There's got to be something. So then after I started using the oil, I said, Lord, is this it? Is this it? Because the next week, and ever since then, I've not had that pain.
Wow.
That next week it got better, and then a little better, and then I stopped using it. And I didn't use it for, you know, you just don't feel the pain, so you feel, okay, I'm good, you know? So I stopped. Well, 2 weeks later, I'm feeling the pain again. And I said, uh-oh, I need to be more diligent, more committed to taking care of myself.
Right.
And if God has provided something that I can use to help me take care of myself, then I got to be committed and diligent about it. So I have been since then very committed and very diligent about it. And so now I'm focusing on my knees. How many people got knee problems? Uh-oh, it's the whole room. So I'm focusing on my knees now. And one thing about it, I think being committed and diligent is the key. Because you start feeling better.
Right. And see, and let me just jump in real quick so that you all understand. They discovered and they understood that our bodies have cannabinoids. Our bodies are made of cannabinoids. And so when you put cannabinoid on your body or you put it inside, it helps repair what has been broken or the inflammation. Because what it does is reduce inflammation, and most all disease is a result of inflammation of some sort. And so what happens is she took it and your inflammation went down, but you have to be consistent so that your body can begin to bring its own healing. It's its own healing and curing itself. And so that's why if you stop, all of a sudden you say, well, it's coming back. I didn't know that it happened, but that's what you have to do.
Yes. And so now I keep it by my bed so that I can reach for it every night before going to bed, and I reach for it. And now I've got your dad using it. He's not consistent yet.
Right.
Because men tend to, excuse me, men, but men tend to be a little laxed, a little lazy with taking care of themselves.
Right.
And so I'm pushing, I constantly have to say, did you put the oil on? Did you put the oil on? I'm going to do it in a minute. I'm going to do it in a minute. And I'll come back 30 minutes later. Did you put the oil on?
Right.
Don't complain if you're not doing something to help yourself. So
That's it.
So let me ask you this, Mom. Did you, what changed in your life? Is anything, so you used the medication, the oil, you used the oil, and the pain went away. What has it freed you to be able to do?
Well, one thing, Deron, I don't know whether I should tell this, but
Don't talk about no sex.
no.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going. Hey, we keep it real. That's my mother. Go ahead.
I decided I want to get back to playing racquetball.
Yeah, tell that.
I used to be a very avid racquetball player. I mean, I could go up against the best. Wouldn't always win, but I could give you a good game. And I loved it. And my husband played it also. We played it for years. And so I woke up one morning saying, I'd like to go back to playing racquetball. So I told him, I said, look, what do you think about playing racquetball? He said, with our knees? I said, you know something? We're going to do it different. We're not going to do the racquetball like we used to do. So we call it geriatric senior racquetball. So you know how to do that? We go in with our racket and the gear and everything, and we take the ball, hit it against the wall, slam it up against the wall. Now, in past times, you'd be able to run and get it, or swerve, swing, whatever. Get it? Now, we hit it against the wall. We hope it comes back to us. And if it doesn't come back to us, we wait, let it bounce, and we walk over, pick it up, take the ball again, and hit it against the wall, try to get it so it'll go toward him. And if it doesn't, we walk over, pick it up. But I'm gonna tell you, it turns out to be a decent exercise because you're bending and you're walking and you're moving. And I think that is the key. So my husband had just spent a stint in the hospital because of some wrong medication.
Really? What happened?
Well, he got prescribed, the doctor overprescribed a particular medication that created swelling in his feet, created dizziness, it created chest pains. And he went to emergency because of the chest pains. And when he got to the emergency, they kept him there. In the end, he was there 5 days. They could never find anything wrong except for the doctor said, you have been overprescribed a medication that you should not have been on. And we think it has even affected your kidneys. And it's affecting his eyesight. And so he stopped taking it. The dizziness left. The fluid on his legs and feet left. And they determined that his kidneys were fine, but he's still having issues with his eyesight. And so he researched. You know he's going to research.
Mm-hmm.
He researched the medication and found out everything that was happening to him was the side effects of that particular medication.
Wow.
And he's not happy about it at all.
Of course.
And so, but he's much better now because he's not taking it, and he's feeling different. He even thinks it affected his memory.
Right.
So that the information you gave us about medication, the side effects of it, we really need to know what we're taking and what it does to you.
And this is why when you say that, and again I go back, because that's why I was terrified, because they kept giving me this. And with the system that we've been talking about, the doctor won't be able to prescribe something that is going to have a complication with another medication, because it'll flag it immediately.
Right.
And say, no, that can't happen. And then if your family,
That's
because
big.
your whole family is on it. And listen, it's $10 a month for the two parents and the kids. And everybody's records go on there. And in that being the case, and I want you to understand, these are people who their family have been hurt by this medical system. They've lost people. I don't know, did I talk about the hysterectomy? But just to say, let me just say this. We just had a story come in where a woman, she was on the plane and they wanted to give her a surgery. And because she had an incident while she was on the plane, and when she landed, they wanted to give her a surgery. She said, please wait. Her son-in-law got there. When her son-in-law got there, he checked on her and found out what was happening. They couldn't find what was going on, and come to find out, when he talked English, they was going to give her a hysterectomy. She said, no, I already had one. And then the other story, the brother, this is true. And this is why I want to tell you so that you understand, this ain't no joke. Y'all ain't never seen Deron Cloud do anything like what he's doing right now. Because this man started acting crazy, just like you said, don't know what's happening, don't know what's going, or disoriented, not sure what's going on. And sure enough, they took his son-in-law, took him to the hospital, and they said, well, let's call his doctor, but his doctor is out of town. And his doctor being out of town, they can't get in touch with his doctor. The son-in-law goes to the police station. Can we break into the doctor's house to get his records? Because the people have now told him that he only has less than 24 hours to live.
Because now he's in the ICU.
Because now he's in the ICU. The police says, no, we can't do it. He goes in and breaks into the doctor's house himself to try to find the records, gets arrested. His father-in-law dies while he's in jail. Then his sons, who couldn't get back into town to the very next day, because they are making a beeline, come into town. And what they find out is that he had, I think it was called a pig flap or something, some kind of valve in his heart that had been infected. It was a yeast infection. And all they would have had to have done is help him deal with the yeast infection.
It was an easy fix.
It was an easy fix. But because they didn't have his records.
Information, yep.
His information. So when you tell me that, that would not be able to happen, because they would say, no, this is the maximum amount.
Listen, let me say this to Ron and Mark Cloud. This is why we don't go on cruises like we used to. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to be, I don't want to be stuck out somewhere on a cruise. Things that happen, people get sick, and no one has any idea of how to treat me. Mm-hmm. So if you had something like this, you would be one of those people who would at least be able to get some type of service.
Yes.
That'll benefit you.
Hey, listen, we thank you for this. I got one more guest I want to bring up. We're going to take one quick break. I want to get up, but then that'll be out of protocol for television right now, and then they'll be getting on me in the production meeting. So I want to thank you for being here, being my guest, our guest for the new Ministry of Health. And Mommy, I want to thank you for giving me permission to tell the truth, and I'm telling the truth. Y'all be prepared. It's called stigmata. Stigmata. It's gonna tear the world up.
And let you all know something. He actually does call, and his sister, they do call her mommy. You know, sometimes you think when you get to a certain age, you don't say mommy anymore. No, they still say mommy.
I couldn't stop them.
They still say mommy.
I tried, but they said, that's your name.
That's right.
That's it. Hey, listen, I appreciate you all joining me, Jill, and my mommy. We hope you enjoyed this. If you want some information, log on to soldiersoutreach.com. We're going to come back, and we got one more amazing testimony that you just need to hear. And then we're going to move on. But I thank you. This is a new ministry of health where God is what, baby?
Truth.
Truth. We keep it real. God bless you. Hello, how are you doing? And welcome back to the new Ministry of Health where God is truth. And once again, we've been talking about the medical food products and how you are able to heal yourself or bring pleasure to yourself in your body
balance.
and balance with homeostasis with plants. With me, one of the things is turmeric. I do turmeric 3 times a day. The best quality turmeric I can get, because turmeric reduces the inflammation. It's called medical food products, and this being the new Ministry of Health, what we honestly are trying to do is just share our stories. And so we've been inviting people. We just had my mother that was on the program where Mommy gave me permission, and now we've had another person we want to invite, and then I'm just going to let my wife introduce her because they're friends.
So, on the show with me today is Lisa Riches. Her children are my godchildren. So when Lisa and I go way, way back, so when I found out from Lisa, and she'll tell a story what her mother was going through over for maybe the last couple of years, we were just constantly talking about things, and she said to me, she said, Jill, when I look in my mother's eyes, she said she's not there anymore, so let me stop before I start crying. She said, when I look in my mother's eyes, she's not there anymore. That means if I've known Lisa for 25 years, I know this mother. I know this happy, giving, cheerful person. And so when I hear her say that this is what's going on with her mother, she doesn't want to leave the house, just different things, I'm alarmed. And so I shared it with Deron. And I don't know if I put you two together to talk to one another, but I do know I shared it with Deron. And that's when I think your mom had a surgery, and then Deron said, okay, let her try this oil. Allow her to try the oil. And that's where I'm going to end so that Lisa can tell her own story.
Okay. In November last year, my mother had a fall. She fell, she hit her head, busted open, was bleeding the whole thing, went to the emergency room. They did a CAT scan, found out she had fluid on her brain. It wasn't from the fall, they think it was previously there. So fast forward, she's going to different doctors. They finally get her to a neurologist who says, we need to go in and draw some of this fluid off of your brain. They diagnosed her with hydrocephalus. So she goes in March, and they were able to get 90 cc's of fluid off of her brain, 30 cc's each day. Prior to doing it, they would give her a test. They would ask her questions, have her walk around. Her balance was really off. She was shuffling. They would do all of these tests, then they would draw the fluid, and then they would retest her. So they did this for 3 days. The last day, they saw some benefit from drawing the fluid off of her. So they released her a couple days later. She comes home. She's okay, but also my mother has dealt with depression probably for the last maybe 10 years. So that's when I talked to Jill and Deron says, well, why don't you have her try the oil? And I say, okay. So we give her the oil. She's a little, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. So she tries it. She does it for about a week. I called her one day and I'm like, Mom, you take the oil? Yeah. I said, okay. That's one day. A couple days later, I called her, Mom, you take your oil? Yeah, I took it. No, I didn't take it. I said, well, get up and take it. I'm gonna call you back in about an hour. I call her back, hey, what you doing? So I'm saying all that to say that I felt like I had lost her, the essence of my mother. And now she's back. My mother's walking again. She had stopped driving. She's driving again. She's just back to her old self. And when we ask her, Mom, you know, what do you think it is? She can't tell you. But what she is doing on a consistent basis is taking the oil. And she not only rubs it, she ingests it. She takes one dropper full under her tongue each day. And like Deron said, it allows your body to heal itself. So she doesn't know what's going on, but she's just, her conversation, she calls me all the time. She had stopped calling me. If I didn't call her, I didn't hear from her.
You saying she's now calling you now?
2-3 times a day. What you doing? What you doing? And it's just, it's amazing because my mother is 76 years old. And my sister said to me a while back, because I was just like, Lala, I can't, my sister's name is Lala, I can't accept that she's just not there anymore. She said, well, some of this is age. And I said, but I can't accept it. And I just wouldn't. And so for me, when, you know, Deron and Jill talk about this thing, they don't have to sell me because my mother is an example. When I tell you she was shuffling, my mother's walking, she's coming to the salon, I do hair. She's coming to the salon to get her hair done on her own. I used to have to get her to bring somebody to bring her. It's
when you say on her own, what do you mean?
She's driving herself. So nobody has to bring her anymore.
Hey, listen, what y'all have to understand. No, we started touching heaven for her mother.
Yes.
We started praying and saying, what's happening? Because Lisa ain't gonna bring no drama. And so when you say you don't have to sell me, I didn't get to hear this story until 2 weeks ago. And I started yelling and crying in the car because I knew the state of where her mother was. And then when I heard this and I heard that your sister said, I'm looking at a picture of my mother 3 weeks ago and what did she say?
So around Easter, I had a dinner at my house. And prior to that, my sister would take pictures of my mother, just taking pictures. And I don't know if you look at somebody sometime and the window, I truly believe, is the eyes to the soul. So you can look at somebody's eyes and just, they're not there. And my sister started showing me all these old pictures. And then she took a picture of my mom at my house. And she was like, look at this and look at this. And she's there, she's here. I mean, when I tell you, it's amazing. That's all I can say. And I don't even have to remind her anymore to take it. She called me yesterday. I said, what you doing? Well, I did this, I did that. She said, but I'm a little tired. I said, well, go ahead and take another one of those oils. She said, I'm going to do that. You know, and so she sees the difference. And it gets to the point where I don't have to remind her. At first, I had to remind her. But when somebody sees a benefit for themselves, no longer do you have to remind them. Because it's a part of her regimen every day. It's on her nightstand. Just like it's on her nightstand.
I got it in my bag, and let me tell y'all something. It is supposed you can rub it on and you can ingest it, but I do it because they tried to put me on some kind of, I don't know, SSR. I wish I knew what that meant, SSRI. But they tried to put me on that, and I said, no, I'm going to do this first. And I'm not against those things, but it is for anxiety. And so I have people whose children who have had some issues with anxiety and they're coming back asking, Ma, give me some of that oil. It's food. People say food.
It's food.
And I want you to know, every one of y'all walk out of here with a bottle. Next time you hear me say pay it forward, and it's going to happen again, as many people as I can, I'm trying to tell people to come out. I can't even get an oil away free. What is that about? But guess what? After today, then y'all all gonna be lined up, and then you gonna understand you missed out. But each one of y'all get to walk out with 500 or whatever it is. Y'all get to walk out with what you get, and that you pay it what for.
And I believe, Deron, I believe that that's going to happen. There's no way you can feel the way she feel because the other side of it, her mother wasn't calling her, and she wasn't talking to me as much as we used to talk. because it was just, and she, once her mother came, was better, then, you know, Lisa shared with me, she said, I fell into a depression. And so now I can't stop her from talking about to anybody who comes along that needs some balance in their life or that's going through something and just don't know what to do. You don't have to sell a mother and I don't have to sell her. And this is what I believe, Deron, that everybody once you try it.
Right.
Once you try it, you know, and it brings you back to a place where you are more comfortable with yourself. Listen, I don't believe that anybody in this room could keep silent.
There you go. And just know this.
From another loved one, I should say.
If you want information on this, log on to Soldiers Outreach. We are donating it. We're giving it away. Why? Because we believe in giving health and we believe in wellness. And also, it was donated to for We Could Do for Kids Eat Free. And so when you begin to send donations in for the oil and that kind of stuff, I'm so happy. Because God gave me the #1 in the world. Y'all don't even know. The #1. And you're going to start hearing it everywhere. You hear certain terminology, but this one right here, I came back. And now thousands of children will be fed. This, I so can't wait for this school year. We are going to be in every school in this metropolitan area almost. God is good. Don't ever give up while you're suffering. Keep fighting. Keep pushing. Lisa, I want to thank you for coming to share your story and be transparent. I learned some more things today that I didn't know. I have held these tear backs as long as I can. I'll be glad when we get off this thing so I can go cry, my ugly cry. Yeah. But I'm so happy to hear, you know, that your mom is doing well and she's driving. Now, you tell her I got a higher dosage, and if she come on this show, I'll hook her up. I'm just serious. No, I really enjoy it. And you tell your sister I love to hear her story, because that y'all don't understand. We was driving in the car, and Jill will tell you, when I heard what your mother was doing, and she was driving even at night, and I know where she was, I yelled all the way home.
No, he
Jill
really
was so
did. I
upset.
thought I was going to run off the road.
I praised God all the way home. And I said, Jill, only God would bring this into our space. Only God. So I thank you for being here and sharing that. I thank you all for showing up. And here's what we're going to do. Each person gets 2 bottles, okay? Each person will get 2 bottles, one for you and one for you to be able to pay it forward.
That's it.
Hey, listen, y'all. Y'all know we are soldiers, and soldiers mean sold out, living delivered in everlasting righteous service. God done put some more gas in our car, and now we're going to do this thing the right way by paying it for you. I love you, and I beat you to it. God bless you. My name is Deron.
This is Jill.
Lisa Richards.
And we thank you so much. We love you, and you beat you to it. God bless you. Good night.